What is up, legends? Thank you so much for coming back to this YouTube channel. Today's video is talking about everything that you need to do to make your diet successful and not give up in the first 2 weeks. This is the exact blueprint that we use with the guys in the Perform for Life program to get them incredible results like dropping 20 kilos in a year, which for most people is a hell of an effort. The first thing to do is thinking about extending the length of time that you give to this diet. You don't want to be trying to do 8 weeks and give yourself no room to start your calories nice and high and utilize some of that extra fuel. If you can imagine that you've got a car, you want to put fuel in the car for the car to go somewhere. So if you don't give yourself enough time and you want to get ready for going on holiday or the summer and you're like, shit, I've got 6 weeks, I need to go really aggressive. Most people are going to fail that because they haven't got the mentality to be able to achieve that. You want to try and give yourself a minimum of about 12 to 14 weeks. Typically, I like to give 20 to 24 weeks because it allows for some diet breaks in there with clients, and it really just sets the level playing field that you can start calories higher and drop them down if you need to, rather than just trying to go aggressive straight away. And what this means, by starting the calories higher, it gets people into the right mindset for going into the dieting phase and looking to get in better shape. What it allows us to do is spend time focusing on what their anchor is, what their goals are, and why they're so important. So it's about understanding that, cool, yeah, getting in shape is great and getting lean is great and having abs is great, but what's the deeper meaning behind that? Is there a confidence thing? Is it not wanting the belly to push out over the boxers? Is it not wanting to get comments from best mates? Is it not wanting to have the tire hanging around their belly when they go to the pool? Is it that they want to feel sexy in front of the partner with their wedding day photos and things like this? And it's about understanding that deeper reason. Because if you just say, oh, I just want to lose a bit of fat, that's not going to be enough of a motivator and anchor when things get difficult and you've got to go and do the work when you don't want to. It also gives you space and time to build the right habits in place around your sleep cycle, food quality, daily activity like steps or cardiovascular training, so that you're moving in the right direction. Because if you're just like, oh, I'll throw myself in the deep end, go for it, and then all of a sudden you sleep like shit, you're eating like a fucking child, things just aren't going to progress the way you want it to. Now, to set up calories, you can use a TDEE. So this is the total daily energy expenditure that a person's going to require for the amount of calories they need. Now, for most people, if you just type in TDEE calculator online, you'll be able to find one. I'll put one in the link below, which is what I use for my clients when we're trying to calculate their starting calories. And based on how active they are, it gives us a rough guide to what their maintenance calories is. You can then take up to about 500 calories off that number. And that's a really good place to start with when it comes to a deficit. From there, you can then break that down even further to the amount of protein that somebody needs to consume, the amount of carbohydrates and fat. Typically, I like to go quite high with the protein if people are already consuming a lot of protein. If they're not, and you look at their diet and they're like, oh, wow, it's like less than 30 grams of protein per meal, then we start them off at a lower protein target and build them up over time so it doesn't affect their gut. Because if you just go, cool, here's 100 grams of protein, and they go straight to like 150 to 200, all of a sudden they're going to be like freaking out. Their gut's not going to be feeling great. It's going to be some digestional issues. And we really don't want that to be the case as we start to go through the dieting process. We want to make that gut as healthy as we can so that we're utilizing and digesting that food properly so that you can then train harder because you've got more energy rather than that food just going straight through you. So I typically like to go for about 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight for people that are already consuming protein. Then you want to try and split about a third of the rest of the calories to fats. So this is anywhere between 60 to 90 grams of fats and then the rest from carbohydrates. Now, I then try to build out a meal plan for clients around their training session. So whether they're training in the morning, we want to try and bring more of those carbohydrates around their training session so that they're getting a good amount in before they train and then a good amount after. What this allows us to do is fuel their sessions really well, keeps their strength nice and high whilst they're in the deficit, but it also helps to replenish the lost glycogen used within those training sessions by having that post carbohydrate meal as well. I tell you now, when people are dieting, this is one of the things that they get wrong the most. If you put more of your carbohydrates around training, you're not going to lose any strength. You're likely to still get stronger whilst you're in a deficit by moving more of your calories around training sessions. If you comment your age, height, weight, what your day job is, I'll give you some recommendations on calories as well with some macro splits if you comment below. So then we try and focus on some lifestyle habits. This includes sleep, the amount of water somebody drinks, and then their food quality. Now, food quality plays a massive role within the realms of dieting. If food quality is really low, that means the fiber intake is going to be low, that means micronutrient intake is going to be low, and it's ultimately make dieting even harder. Now, I know that everybody loves a fake away recipe or trying to find quick hacks to still be enjoying the food they're eating, but we want to make this a sustainable life change, right? Like, you want to be able to say that you have changed your life, and with that comes understanding food quality. And I think that's probably down to the fact that most people don't know how to cook, and I think that's a skill that is also learned that a lot of people don't fully understand it, and that's why so many people love cooking recipes. That's why they get so much engagement on Instagram, because people generally don't know how to cook food. Either their parents have not taught them or schools didn't teach them, and I wish they did. So we try and focus on sleep. water intake, and food quality. Now, if you're getting shit sleep, ultimately this means a number of things. Your circadian rhythm, which regulates your sleep cycle, is going to be all out of whack, which then has a negative effect on your digestion, which then has a negative effect on you wanting to get more shit food. Like, you're craving more of those snacky foods, those high carbohydrates, those high fat foods, the highly processed stuff that you absolutely love and die for. If you get shit sleep, you're craving even more of that. So if we can focus on bringing your sleep cycle to a place where you're getting regular bedtimes, regular wake up times, not hitting snooze with the alarm, that's going to help improve the quality of your training sessions, the choices that you make when it comes to the food that you eat, and managing that stress. Water intake is also really important. Like, we speak about this a lot. Like, your body is made up of water. I think most people are dehydrated anyway. You want to be trying to get in at least 3 liters of water. So this bottle here from Perform is, it doesn't even say, who does? It's 700 mils. So you imagine that you're trying to get in at least 4 of these at a minimum a day, right? Just over 4 of these a day. And that might seem crazy, but if you neck a pint of this first thing in the morning, you're already a good chunk of the way there. Then you have another one around 11 o'clock, then you have one at lunchtime, and then you have one around 4 o'clock. You've done your water intake for the day. So that means you're far along within that. This allows us to stay full whilst you're still dieting. It allows us to keep hydrated when we're training, and everybody should be drinking more water. Now, with my clients, we don't use MyFitnessPal to track our nutrition. The reason for it is I place such a high focus on the food quality that the guys eat and try and get them moving away from this highly processed food that they're consuming to a more natural, unprocessed diet. Now, that typically means not stuff that comes from a packet, not stuff that's been ultra processed. So we're thinking pasta, rice, potatoes, quinoa, sourdough toast. Those are sort of carb sources that we're looking for. Then when it comes to protein, we're looking for fish, eggs, meat, chicken, prawns, legumes, and protein powder, because ultimately it's a very quick and easy way for us to digest it. I'm not a massive fan of like protein pouches. It doesn't feel great on my gut, but we have a lot of lads that travel often for work, whether that's through the theatre industry, so they're like between hostels and hotels like every other week, and these things can be quite useful. So we don't mind having those in our diets as long as we're still getting a good amount of fruit and vegetables throughout the day, because nobody feels shit eating more fruit and vegetables. Like, I categorically, hands down, that is the case for 99% of the population. For me personally, I absolutely love beetroot, I love kiwi, and those are 2 superfoods that I think more people should be consuming that they don't. And I think it typically comes down to people who don't know how to cook these food items. Most of us are so brought up with just like, cool, I'm just going to boil broccoli and it tastes of absolutely nothing. But if you get some tender stem broccoli, get some chili flakes and some parmesan, chuck it in the air fryer for 10 minutes, it comes out like a little crispy, cheesy, firecrackery kind of taste. Another good option is to saute them in some soy sauce, say that when you're drunk, a little bit of chili flake and some honey as well. Like, that comes out a really tasty meal. Turmeric cauliflower is a great option too. Gives it a nice little kick and a little bit of taste if you want some sort of Indian tasting vegetable. Like, there's so many different options that you can use here. Even garlic and herb seasoning on some red onions, some peppers, some Brussels sprouts comes out on really delicious, full of flavor, lots of different tastes and textures in your mouth. And that's a really good way of spending some more time recognizing the foods you're eating and trying to focus on that mindset around food quality rather than just trying to shovel shit and eat as much shit food as you can in the limited amount of calories that you're on. Food quality is always going to win. That's why boiled potatoes are so good for you. So we use an app called Chronometer. This allows us to track those micronutrients, and it tracks fiber really well because a lot of people undereat on fiber. We typically try and get about 30 to 40 grams per day for each client, depending on height and weight. But what that means is that their digestion is going to be going into a better place. It means their immune system's improved because their digestion's improved. It means they're going to be utilizing their food more for when it comes to training, which means their training performance increases, their aerobic fitness increases because they've got more new micronutrients, which ultimately results in more fat loss. So this is why we really try and push food quality and fiber. Now, ultimately, we can't talk about a deficit without talking about a calorie deficit and tracking food, because ultimately, if we're not tracking that sort of data, how do you know that you're in a deficit, and how do you know that you're losing weight and body fat? How do you know that you're getting rid of that gut? So this is why you need to be tracking on some sort of app, whether that's within the training app that you're using, within MyFitnessPal, which is such a really common tracking app, Chronometer, or other apps alongside it that exist. And you want to think about tracking everything you eat. So a lot of people miss out on some calorie leaks. This includes cooking oils, sauces like ketchup, mayonnaise, fruits and vegetables often get skipped, adding butter to toast, or when you're making steaks, if you're out eating steaks as well, like they're cooked in a ton of butter and a ton of olive oil. So you want to add in those ingredients when you're tracking food out and about. Orange juice is another thing that's commonly missed. Like all of these things contain calories, and this is where a lot of people could miss 200 to 300 calories a day. Finishing off the kids' plates, finishing off little snacks throughout the day, those chocolate biscuits that are left out at work by Karen, who's always bring cake in and things like this. Very quickly you can recognize that you're probably eating around 200 to 300 extra calories that you either don't report or don't even realize you're consuming. And this is where it's really important that you try to weigh out as much food as you can. And if you aren't able to do that, you have some way of keeping yourself accountable, whether that's using Precision Nutrition's palm portions. So a palm-sized portion of protein, fist-sized full of carbohydrates, 2 fistfuls of veggies, and about a thumb-sized portion of fats. That's a really good way of starting off to build your awareness around the food you're eating without necessarily tracking that food. Now, my personal preference is to follow a meal plan. I've done if it fits your macros before, and now that I have done both sides of the coin, I'm very much a big believer that following a meal plan makes things easier because you don't have to think about food. You can meal prep 3 to 4 portions of that meal, and it just means you're able to focus on everything else that's going on in your life. What it also means is that you can pre-plan your food, and as Jocko Willink would say, discipline equals freedom. And if we're disciplined with having structure within our nutrition, it gives us the opportunity to plan our foods and plan our freedom a bit more when it comes to social events. Now, social events is something we're going to get to a little bit down the line, but if we're reactive with how we're tracking our food, we are way more likely to go over the calories. Whereas if we're proactive, we spend that 5 minutes first thing in the morning just tracking that food into whatever tracking app you're using. It allows you to plan things in advance, allows you to add in those little bit of sweet treats if you feel like you need to. Like I love Biscoff, and I try and have a little bit of Biscoff on a bit of sourdough toast every single day when I'm in a deficit. Probably not right now when I'm like 4 weeks out from a photo shoot, I'm feeling gaunt, I'm eating very little calories in general. So like a lot of my calories want to be trying pushed around like really high quality, like more potato, more chicken, more broccoli, more cauliflower, more peppers, more sauerkraut, more cabbage, spinach, lots of different things instead of the sourdough and the Biscoff. And unfortunately, it's just one of the natures of being in the sort of deficit that I am right now and the goals that I have in my head. One thing to note here is that you want to really try and focus on tracking your food first thing in the morning, planning in advance, or as a last resort, last thing at night. You don't want to try and then go over 24 hours because food recall, which is the ability to recall what you've eaten before, the accuracy of that can drop by about 60%. And that's quite a lot if you then start to think about adding it up over the course of 4, 5, 6 days, even to 2 to 3 weeks. So you want to start to really think about trying to plan that food in advance. But I hear you, you're like, yeah, but Jack, how do I still enjoy social events? How do I still allow myself some freedom when it comes to it? This is where planning can come ahead. So like if you know you're going out for a meal with friends, if you know you're going out for drinks with friends, you can select how many drinks you're going to have, stick to it, and then you can work backwards with trying to get as much protein in as you can and then filling the rest of the calories in with carbs and fat. You can do the same for meals as well. So like if you're going to Dishoom, they have calories on their menus, and it allows you to then select what items you're going to have, adding it into whatever tracking app you've got, and then you can work backwards from there. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either bank calories weekly. So let's say you've got a daily target of 2,000 calories. Let's say you eat 1,800 calories for 6 days out of the 7. That 7th day is the one that you want to have a higher calorie target because you want to enjoy yourself a little bit more. You could use that extra 600 calories or so on that 7th day so that you're able to enjoy that food without feeling guilty about not being in a deficit, because your weekly calorie target is still keeping you within a deficit, but you just know your body weight might be a little bit higher the next day because you've increased the amount of food that you normally eat compared to the last few days. So that's one method that you can do to bank calories. The other one is to bank them daily. Again, so this is where you just intermittent fast throughout the morning, have some sort of like high in protein salad into maybe a protein shake before you go to the event, planned drinks, planned food, but you can still then enjoy yourself and like have 1,000-calorie pizza or something, which is pretty much what I'm going to do on Sunday. Sorry, Dave. Some key tips that you can take away from managing social events. One of the best ways is going for either 0 alcohol drinks. So this is a Guinness here. 0%, 77 calories for the pint. Very good option versus the 300 it is for a normal Guinness or whatever it is. But then also going for low calorie vodka, tequila, gin. These are all really good low calorie spirits that you can pair with sugar-free sodas and things like this to keep the calories even lower. It means you can have 5 or 6 drinks, get a little bit merry, still enjoy yourself, but know you've only gone over and had about 600 calories versus 10 pints, which you know is going to come out at almost 3,000 calories. Right, so it's very different choices in and amongst that matter. So that's how you can make the most of planning your nutrition. That might seem like quite a lot of information. I'd recommend going back and watching all of that, making a few notes on this. But key concepts are planning your food in advance, trying to get some really good food quality in, plan social events in advance, and lastly, speak to the people around you. Make sure they're on board with your goals so they understand that they don't necessarily have to be doing what you're doing, but they have to be able to be supporting you to the best of their ability as well. If you've got partners that aren't supporting you, you're going to fail. Categorically, it is proven like that. That's just one thing that will never work. If you've got one partner who's like, oh, let's go get a KFC, and you're stuck trying to diet right now, like, it's just not fair to either party that you've not communicated the real reasons you want to lose weight. You've not been totally honest with them. You've said, oh, I just want to lose a little bit of weight, but you've not gone, hey, by the way, I really want to lose weight right now because I hate my belly overhanging my boxers. I don't feel confident taking off my jumper. My belly pushes through my t-shirts. I keep having to pick it off my skin. I've got bigger tits than you, right? And like these sort of conversations you need to have if you're going to go into a deficit, because if they don't know, they're not going to be on board. Now, when it comes to training, I'm keep this very simple because everyone is very individual. I personally would go for a 4-day training split, training full body every single day to keep the volume nice and high and to build as much muscle mass as you can and maintain as much muscle mass as you can whilst you're in a deficit. I do about 40 minutes of weight training, 20 minutes of cardio at the end of each of those sessions, varying from steady state, low intensity cardiovascular fitness to some high intensity, high interval rest kind of training sessions. So we're really pumping the anaerobic work done. That just helps to create a little bit more fat oxidation. Then I'd have a fifth session, which would be a conditioning session. So this would just be 45 minutes, steady state cardio, really looking to try and improve that heart health. Because at the end of the day, your heart's a muscle, and if you don't train it, you're not going to go down well. You're probably going to die at some point from heart failure. Not to be morbid or anything, but it's the most important muscle in your body. You should probably be training it. And lastly, make sure you set a deadline for how long this is going to be. So I'm going to start dieting on this day and I'm going to end on this day. Set a target goal as well. So let's say you're trying to lose 10 kilos, give yourself about 14 to 16 weeks. That way you've got a little bit of a buffer to progress that. So if you've got holidays coming up now in July and August, you need to start dieting now for that. Now, right now we are running a Sheds 12 challenge. It starts on the 1st of April. If you want to get involved, now is the time to do so. Head over to Instagram in the link below. If you're struggling to get in shape, like so far we've had 7 lads join the program off the back of this challenge. We know that we're going to be able to help them. They're already starting seeing progress. They've got more structure with their training. They've got more structure with their nutrition. They already feel like they've got more energy. Some of these guys are just making these comments off the back of the first week, off the back of the first few days, and this could be you. So just don't sit on the fence if you feel like you struggle with dieting every single time. You go through the motions, you try, you fail, you try, you fail. You need to do something different compared to what you did last year, and this could be the perfect opportunity for you. It's going to help you to hold you accountable. I'm going to be there every step of the way. I'm going to make sure that you've got a plan of action when it comes to managing social events and planning food around family time, work schedules, your own training sessions, or any other commitments that you might have. Fundamentally, it can help you. It's just whether you choose to get involved or not. So that's the exact blueprint that we would use to set up somebody for a dieting phase and lose 10 to 15 kilos in the space of 15 to 20 weeks. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment below about what your goals are for the summer, whether you're going on holiday soon or anything else that I would love to hear from.